Hi everyone. Hi Abhishek. And we are live.
Hey,
Coach Eliot is with us. Coach, you looks like Mario from the game, the old game.
yeah, Mario Kart, Mario
Yeah,
World.
the
I know
old one.
exactly what game you're talking about.
So
You're looking good. You're looking clean, clean shaven. You look
thanks,
mean,
Coach.
clean and mean.
So what did inspire you for this look?
Just a joke, really. Just having fun. Maybe if someone can laugh a little bit.
Oh,
Uh,
that's good.
yeah, I mean, I was kind of growing my hair out, sort of
Mm-hmm.
as a joke or kind of a joke fashion statement. Now it's really, really long. And then I think like week 2 or week 1, I said, okay, we're going to have a mustache contest, all guys and girls. Whoever can grow the best looking mustache, uh, you know, by the time we get out wins. So clearly I'm going to win because, you know, no, I don't know.
Let's see.
uh,
We hope for that.
but
So how are
yeah,
you
the
doing,
beard
Coach?
kind of gets, how am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing good, man. I'm a little up and down, you know. I think it's kind of an emotional. It's easy to kind of get emotional.
Mm-hmm.
You feel super excited, you feel motivated, and then the next second you're crying. um, no,
I
but
understand.
I think that's normal. I think it's normal.
It's not normal
But
in this situation right now, especially with the corona and all. And every
yeah,
day we are seeing in the news that death toll is increasing especially in USA. I think it's over 70,000 right now.
I believe so. I kind of stopped keeping track of numbers just because
Depressing,
it's
right?
really and there's nothing. It's depressing, yeah. And I mean, I feel like other than kind of sheltering in place, there's not much you can do, So, um, and so I mean, and I feel like I need to stay optimistic to teach my classes. I teach some classes online, and I need to stay optimistic and kind of positive for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And we all understand. We all have days that we don't feel that way, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That's true.
I'm worried. Yeah, I'm worried about people who um, don't have that, maybe a family to connect with or a friend to be around, you people who are very social, that like to be around people. I think
Mm-hmm.
jujitsu people innately they enjoy having their friends around, so to have that come to a quick stop can be pretty difficult.
Yeah, that's the whole
What about
reason I'm doing this, coach, because Jiu-Jitsu helped me a lot in my life, in my like low points in my life. So this time when everybody is stuck, I want to do something for everyone else. That's why I
yeah,
started doing this, going live every day, trying to help them with the workout, bringing motivational figures like you and Coach Silver Fox, so that at least they
that's
can get
awesome.
motivated and keep doing it.
That's motivating to see you like moving and getting people on, and that's motivation for me to be honest. Just seeing people doing
Uh,
stuff is pretty exciting.
yeah, I'm thankful for you to say that, coach, because again, as comparing to you and Coach Silver, we are nowhere in this community. We are just newborn, but still, again, it's matters. Like a single effort matters. Doesn't matter again
Yeah,
what did I write in the post. That doesn't matter how small the stone is. It still makes waves in the water, right? So
yeah,
I'm trying to do the same because everybody helped me a lot in that time. So I'm trying to do the same for everyone right now.
yeah. And you are. Look at all the people sending us. I see all the hearts kind of popping up.
That's
awesome.
all for you. That's all for you, coach, not for me.
Yeah, that's for everyone. That's for everybody. Yeah. How about you? How are things where you are? You're back home in your village?
Yeah, I'm back home in my village. Life is kind of okay in the village. It's not that closed out right now. We are in lockdown also, but again, India, I think India controlled it way better than any other country. So we are still in the like far safer portion of this pandemic, and I hope it will stay that way, and things will recover soon. Anyway, gym is closed, so not much to do in terms of jiu-jitsu. But anyway. I'm when I'm going live, I'm doing workout anyway, so I'm doing something. And
Yeah,
again, I showed you those pictures and those videos working on my land. That's something kind of workout every day in the morning. So I'm
that's so
doing okay.
cool. That's really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
that's the other thing I want to do for especially for my village kids. That's why I started it.
it's impressive. Yeah, I love that. Um, how do you like
So
doing the online workouts?
it's feels the same for me, coach, because I really don't care uh, like how others are seeing me, or like I'm not camera conscious. So it doesn't matter for me. It's just I just want that if I'm doing it, the people who are watching, or at least my students who are watching, if they are doing at least half of it, that I'm doing something, like it's a satisfactory feeling.
Yeah,
So I think it's a good thing.
yeah,
And again, that's what it means in like a difficult situation, challenging times, right? In normal
yeah,
times, nobody cared, so we didn't stepped up or and start doing things like that. But now we had to. Somebody had to,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah,
So
no, it's a great opportunity to connect with people. Can you imagine if this was, 10, 20 years ago? Uh, there wouldn't be
it's
any
good.
Instagram, no
Yeah,
Facebook. I mean, yeah, not even YouTube. There wouldn't be any YouTube. We'd be sitting at home watching TV,
yeah,
or I don't know, like
or maybe not
reading a book.
watching. That's the. I think that's the biggest part of it, to make this pandemic more scary because of internet. Now everybody can see the news all around the world, and before also a pandemic happened, and far more worse than this one, but they had always happened in an area, and it's always killed some peoples and died in a localized area. Peoples didn't know other parts of the world because they didn't have that much kind of communication, and again transportation was also not there, aeroplane and all, right? So again, good side also, a little bit bad also, but mostly good, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right. Um, yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, so there's good and bad. We couldn't stay connected and do online jujitsu classes, but we were so connected that people weren't seeing all the bombarded with the news and data and information. So pros and cons, I guess.
Yeah, but at least we have some way or mode to help others or each other. So that's something positive, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Coach Sid is here. He's saying facial hair
Hey,
goals.
uh, my mustache. Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
somebody wrote power stash. Yeah,
yeah.
very, very, very powerful. So it gives me extra special powers during shelter in place. But once I go outside, it seems to. Uh, although
So
I went shopping the other day, and I noticed
mhm.
everybody was looking at me. And I told my wife when I got home, and she said it wasn't the mustache, it was the hair. So I don't know which one it is, but whatever it is that they're working.
Oh, you can ask people, do you want to take photos with me? If you want, that's okay.
There you go.
And how do you coping with the training in these days? I'm sure gym is closed, so
Uh, yeah, the gym is closed. This is week 8 of our gym being closed, and we've, the first couple weeks was pretty difficult. We've gone up to about, we've taught up to about 17 classes a week for
mhm.
our members using Zoom, Facebook Live, Google Hangout is another platform that we've used. And we've kind of stuck with those 3. Each coach kind of has something that they prefer, so whatever the coaches prefer to teach. And so yeah, initially it was actually pretty difficult to organize. It was difficult to reset, I guess, to try and like incorporate jiu-jitsu. So obviously, jiu-jitsu you need somebody else to do.
That's good.
I took it upon myself. I have some younger kids, so we have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. Our
Yeah,
daughter's
I'm
gonna be
seeing those
6
every day.
soon. So
You
yeah, so
have
we've
two
been doing like
pretty
a
energetic partners, so you are shorted.
I'm lucky. Yeah, I'm lucky and I'm set. So, so my kids, I get to do some jiu-jitsu with my kids. We've been doing 3 classes and we record it. It was a struggle at first to figure out our plan, because we like to have the classes so that anybody can jump in. We don't want there to be any prerequisites for people to feel like, they need to know before they start. But at the same time, we want to build on the skills. So I try to, we try and have that kind of format within our jiu-jitsu classes for the kids. And, especially for this, and the kind of the, the slogan, I guess, was if one person in your family trains, then everybody can train. So if it's your kids that train, parents, let's jump in, let's train with the kids. If it's the parents that train and you have kids, let's jump in with the kids. Don't worry about doing everything, kind of like what you said, right? Don't worry about doing everything. Let's learn, let's move, let's have fun.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm also trying to do with my kids. I'm always encouraging them to ask their parents if they can join them, maybe some exercise, sometimes like parents kids kind of workout. So at least they can connect also with each other and they can train together. That can be, it doesn't have to be always grueling session. It's can be fun also, right?
oh yeah, for sure. And right now, again, like the what people are going to get out of stuff is by moving. People are going to get benefits by moving. And I think we've done a pretty good job keeping things fun, but also making things like pretty engaging and learning. There's some
Mm-hmm.
obstacles to overcome when kids and adults train together. So, for example, one thing that we did was, we were doing triangle drills, and, to do a triangle with my arm and my neck on a 8-year-old and a 6-year-old is not realistic. But so instead we just put a towel, and we imagined that the
Yeah, I
towel
saw
was
that.
somebody's arm. Yeah. So that towel was the arm, and they had grips. And they were just triangling my neck, but they were placing the grips in the right place. And I mean, it's about as practical as you can get with practicing a triangle. And we were using the towel like it was a spider guard and the biceps. And so we were being creative, but at the same time having fun and learning. And the movements are the same, similar if not the same. So but yeah, the first couple weeks was a struggle because I didn't know how to organize a class. How are you going to do a Zoom class, or a Google Hangout class that's just solo but still simulate jujitsu? And I feel like after after about 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
Mhm.
you know, kind of looking at what other people were doing, looking and studying this different teaching modality, we've kind of ironed things out, I think, you know, and every coach has their own style. So I think it's important to figure out what works for you. But, you know, as far as what we started doing was in an hour class, let's say the first 30 minutes would be exercise based, some warming up, and then we do like are you familiar with the Tabata?
Yeah, I
The
heard about.
interval,
They usually
yeah, the
use
interval.
that in CrossFit kind of gym, right? It's
Say that again.
mixing up. No, I'm saying they usually use that principle in the CrossFit kind of gyms, right? Mixing
I'm
two
not,
exercises going one by one, like.
yeah, I'm not sure. I've never done CrossFit, so I don't know too much about it, but it's basically like 20 seconds of high intensity and then 10 seconds of rest. And we do about 8 to 10 rounds. So we'll do warm up, we'll do a Tabata thing. So it lasts about 5 minutes. And then we'll do a little more movement kind of based exercises for about another 5 or 10 minutes, and then back to doing another Tabata workout. And that's a pretty good 30-minute. Yeah, Tabata is exactly. So Sid says Tabata is interval training. So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Does that make sense
Yeah,
to you?
it can be like in variety of ways because when I was in Europe, I used to go in one CrossFit gym, and they were always organizing in that way that, for example, you are doing pull-ups, and then you are doing jumping squats, and back to pull-ups, and then back to jumping squats, something like that. So two exercise
Yeah.
at a time. So it
Okay,
can
okay.
be
So
in a variety of ways. So.
yeah, there's basically the goal is to go for 20 seconds as hard as you can, and then for 10 seconds just like complete rest, you know, to catch your breath, and then go another 20 seconds as hard as you can. And then you would do 8 to
Sounds
10
good.
rounds. It's, you know, it only lasts minutes, but it's a good, you break a good sweat, your
Oh,
heart rate,
that's
you know, jacks up. And the idea, you know, are we going to be in the same shape as we were when we left or when we started kind of sheltering place? No, but we, you know, the idea is that you're moving, right? You're getting a good cardiovascular workout. But then what we started doing with, I haven't done it with Facebook Live, but with our Google Hangouts and Zoom, you can do a screen share. So what we started doing was a screen share, and then we would just go through matches. So if it was a gi class, we would we would focus on gi matches. If it was a master's class, ages 40 and up, we would focus on technique for, or we would look at matches that were masters 3, you know, ages 40 and above division. Yesterday we taught a nogi class, so we looked at some nogi matches. And so it's been interesting to kind of look at trends and patterns by just looking at matches. But we also kind of said, you know, we also kind of looked at not just black belt, you know, world championships and stuff, but also white belts, blue belts, purple belts, and kind of analyzing, looking at mistakes, looking at strategies, maybe a lack of awareness. And so I really like that we incorporated that, you know, so about 30 minutes of exercise and 30 minutes of kind of match studies has been really good. That's what we've done with our adult classes, at least. So
that's good, coach. So, like as you said,
yeah,
I started off like that also. Of course, I'm learning so much from you and Coach said also. But we doesn't have to be like have a definite plan in the starting. Sometimes it's your will is enough, and you figure out things like on the way, right? So I started
yeah.
also like that with the Facebook Live and everything. Then slowly, things start falling into places. So here we are, right? let's
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, and I think that's the beauty of trying to be, trying to like improve or do a little bit better, in who knows how many more of these you'll do, but um Sid just asked, which fighter am I studying at this moment? Um, should I answer his
let
questions, Anand, or what?
let's turn to our
Yeah.
audience, coach. Let's take some questions if they want to ask, and then we will talk about it afterwards. Yeah, guys, if you have any
Okay.
questions,
So
Coach Eliot, you can ask him.
yeah. So Sid, which fighter am I studying? What I've been doing, Sid, is
Say Anand.
basically breaking down
Say Anand.
Anand. Oh, sorry, Anand. What?
No, he was asking which fighter
Oh,
are you
I see.
studying
I
at the
see.
moment?
I get. I've been studying this Indian breakthrough fighter named Anand.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I mean, no. So I've been looking at different. I've been looking at positions. So what's been really interesting for me is I'll look at. Please don't say study. Don't study. I have a joke.
Yeah,
I have a joke that I know the cross train guys would know, but I'm not gonna say it. It has to do with mount, right? And
yeah.
pulling guard. I'm not gonna say it though,
No, it's
but you
okay.
guys
It's
can.
okay. You can go ahead. I really doesn't care about that.
Okay, I know, I know. I don't like to make fun of people too much.
No, it's
Not too
okay. It's
much,
okay.
anyways. A little bit, just a little bit. Anyways, what I like to do is to look at matches and to try and find people who do the same thing. So, let's see. So, a match study that I did was there's a pant sleeve, right, in the gi. So you have a pant sleeve grip, right? And then what are people doing off of that pant sleeve grip? So it's like a De La Hiva guard, but you have the pant sleeve and you're holding onto the pant sleeve. Are they going for the cross collar? Are they going for the cross sleeve? Are they going for the near sleeve? And then how are they using their legs? Are they using that to go into like a berimbolo back tape type of position? Are they working to come into to get their legs inside for an X guard or a single leg X guard? And so yeah, so I'll look up some different patterns, and then you start to see some patterns within, like, with what works really well and what doesn't work as well. So for example, one of the matches that I saw, the name slips me, but 2018, and he did this sweep using the pant sleeve grip. It's a very, very simple sweep. Some people call it like a sickle sweep or something like that. But he sweeps and he comes up. His name's from Atos. Forget his name. Anyways, he does this to a guy named Felipe, who's from Gracie Baja, at a tournament. And then about a year later, you see Felipe do the same move on a guy named Nathan who's from the Coalition 95. And so it was neat, like, to see that the move was done to, it was done to him. Felipe had the move done against him. And then a year later, Felipe is using that same move against his opponent in a match. So just little trends like that have been really interesting. And then also to see variations, instead of just the basic sweep, how are they using the cross collar? How are they using the sleeve? It also exposes limitations too. So you realize, okay, so, the lapel is super kind of trendy right now. A lot of people are studying how to use the lapel. But threading the lapel through, it kind of, in certain positions, like if the guy sits down to their knees and backs up, right? Even though the lapel helps you maintain a certain amount of distance, you're also pretty limited to how much you can like attack with that lapel threaded through or around your leg. So I'm not, yeah, so to answer your question, I haven't been studying anybody specific as much as like trying to find trends, studying trends from a specific, yes, yep, that's exactly. And not necessarily for me to do that, but to better understand it, you know. And, you know, I may never use that move in a competition, but, you know, I know what could be coming. And it also helps me kind of see what people's games are. Should I read the question, Anand, or what's the best
Yeah,
way?
coach. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. If a person is lying by the back towards the wall, that submission can taken from there. I don't know. I have a hard time. So this is the hard part, I guess, for me. So a lot of people might ask a question, and in practice even, right? We're at jiu-jitsu practice. They'll ask me a question and I'll say, show me, right? And I guess the limitation to these things is people ask a question and I'm the kind of guy that wants to say, show me exactly what you're talking about so that, you know, there isn't any kind of miscommunication.
Yeah,
so I guess
that's true. It's sometimes hard to understand. And this kid who's asking this question is from my gym. He met you when we came for the seminar. So, Samrit, what do you mean by back against the wall? So, usually we are rolling or fighting on the mats. We are not going against the wall. And that's the different story if you are attacking your father in the home. Just let us know.
It's a stay-at-home jiu-jitsu question.
Yeah, you know, kids are like that. One time you are eating or drinking something, they will just come from behind and.
Exactly, yeah. So one thing I try not to do in teaching or talking about jiu-jitsu, you know, our family jiu-jitsu classes, is we avoid practicing chokes. And you know, I don't know. I guess I'm just extra cautious, but it makes me nervous to have people practice chokes because things can happen very quickly. But so one thing, you know, we've been focusing on is like arm bars, Americanas. We did the triangle, but the triangles aren't, you know, tight enough to finish. But, you know, we're extra cautious with chokes. And in fact, I prefer people not practicing them at home.
I think he's asking. Sorry to interrupt, coach. I think he's asking like you are laying like straight position like a log, just hold your back is towards the ceiling.
Okay.
It's like killing the chicken position, you know?
Yeah. So what's the question again?
So now I'm sure he's attacking his father in the home. Now I'm sure. And his father is laying down like that and he is not able to find any choke or something.
Great. Okay. So there's two ways to look at that. One is you're in a dominant position, right? And you're in control, right? So you can just kind of hang out on top and mount. You can hang out in knee on belly or like knee on back, I guess, knee on shoulder maybe, and kind of stay on top. The other thing to think about is when you're in that position, what can you do? What type of what pressure can you put onto that person to make them want to open up? Does that make sense? Or to make them want to move, right? So if I don't feel any pressure and I can just stay here and I don't feel any pain or any pressure or there's no motivation for me to move and I'm safe, it makes sense, right? If we're just doing like a grappling with no strikes, you know, with my stomach down towards the ground. So my you know, my way of let's problem solve that. How would you try to What would you do? What can you do to put pressure on them from that position? I'll
Me?
ask you, Anand. Yeah, what do you
Oh,
think?
so I will try to, if they are not opening from that side, I will try to move on to their legs.
Hmm.
Legs are probably easy to lift up instead of back, and when he's going like that, I think leg will be easy to lift up.
Yeah, leg. So you could go attack the legs, right? Or you could kind of get, I don't know if you want to call it like dirty jujitsu, right? But you could like maybe put your knuckle
Something like
into the ribs. Yeah, not elbow down, but you could kind of like get into like some like point where it makes them move
yeah,
and their arm opens up. Or you see some people like using the cross face, right? To get underneath the nose. Right? Nobody
yeah.
likes it when something's coming underneath the nose. To lift it up, and then once it's up, you can come underneath. Um, is it polite and friendly? No, but that's one way of putting pressure. Um, Another way, if
Yeah.
I'm here like this, if you reach,
Hmm?
catch like Kyle says, catch
Close
cross
face.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like kind of a cross face underneath the nose. That's never fun or pleasant, right? What it does is it forces the person to move, right? So I would say, how can you get the person to move, right? So figure out ways, and you can kind of have fun with it, explore, like figure out ways to get the person to move. Another thing, if there's space between the armpit and you can reach through and grab the hand and pull the arm behind, sometimes that's a hole. They're like this, but
Yeah.
there's space between
Under the elbow. Yeah.
this part of the arm and the ribs. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can reach through underneath the arm, grab it, and then pull the arm behind. And now you have some kind of an arm entanglement, like a Kimura or Americana. Maybe the arm goes straight, like an arm lock type of position.
Or
So,
or you can do
but
one more thing, Samrat. So again, sorry, coach. So
yeah, no,
Samrat, you
yeah,
can do one more thing if you don't want to hurt your father. You are afraid if you will get punishment afterwards. So you can tickle him, and he will open up for sure.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, so anything that like motivates them to move, even tickling, right?
Yeah.
Even tickling, that could be, get a feather and start to tickle their ear or something. Uh, um, so going back to like the first answer is you wait, right? You just maintain your position and you wait. How long are you going to sit there, right? I can sit here and wait all day, right? How patient are you? It's kind of
That's
a shelter in place, right? How patient can you be during this time, in a way?
coach. There is one more question again from my student Webo, the tall one, if you remember. He's asked,
Yeah,
read it.
the gift wrap,
Yeah.
where they come across and you grab.
Yeah.
Man, once they get that hand, it's so hard to take away. It's so hard to pull back, right? So I guess it's like more in the prevention, right? That's one of those like prevention arts. In like, how do we prevent that? We don't allow our hands to get crossed, right? Very seldom in martial arts should we be crossing our hands. Sometimes you'll kind of see people doing this kind of stuff with like punch blocks. I'm not too familiar with striking, but like with striking, you'll see people doing this kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
very seldom do you want to have your arms crossing, one side.
Yeah.
You always want to keep your
Midsection.
hands kind of, yeah, you want to keep them in each part, right?
Yeah.
Each component of your body, and you want to work in that area. So seldom do you want to reach across to go to their shoulder. You'll see them coming across to the same side shoulder. So I think that's something that's one, right? That's more in the kind of prevention. So what about when they grab their arm? So now once they grab it, you can always fight into it, right? And it's, in a way you're kind of fighting force with force, right? Or you're fighting
Yeah,
against the leverage.
yeah,
So what can you do? Which way can you move to escape from that position or to loosen up that position?
only that way.
Only that way. You kind of go with it, right? So
Yeah,
going with it in anticipation that that's going to give up your position, but
yeah.
it's
Person
also
is
going to
going to take
loosen
it
up.
back.
Yeah, so you
The
got to
person
be
is going to
mindful
take
of,
it back.
yeah, you got to be mindful of what can happen, but you can move with an intent to force maybe a scramble, right? To get out of that
Yeah,
position. So those type of positions, they're kind of like do or die. Like move and maybe get out, don't move and die, you know? So they're not a very good, like, you know, um, it's one of the last steps that you want to get stuck in, right? So a lot of that is like in prevention and not getting stuck in that position.
yeah, that's true.
Oh, so your student says, nothing will happen. He hurts me a lot, and I hurt him sometimes, but I never get punished. Good. Yeah, so keep it healthy, keep it fun. You know, the important thing is that you're training with your family, you know, and you guys are both learning, right? As much as you are.
I
And
told you he's hurting his father.
what's that?
No, I told you he's practicing with his father.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I mean, so he's probably has never practiced with his father before, right?
Yeah, never before.
Yeah, so I think this is the longest time my kids have done jujitsu 3 times a week, you know. It's like 2 months of jujitsu 3 times a week. I don't think
Mhm.
we've ever done that. You know, there's always been like a spring break or a 3-day weekend, or, even our youngest, our Pee-wee class, ages 4, 5, and 6, that class, we meet twice a week. So even for that, I mean, it's incredible what my kids are kind of picking up. I'm kind of nervous. I keep telling them, hey, you guys, your jujitsu is getting really good. And then my daughter the other day, she says, yeah, but jujitsu, it's just not really our thing. uh, so, but again, like really right now, I think what's important is that we're moving, we're having fun, and we're learning together, right? So, if you're a parent that's never trained, man, and you know a little bit more every week, that's such a big deal. And you can kind of coach and help them a little bit. That's amazing. Um, and if you're a kid that's never trained with your parent before, jujitsu is a great thing that you can do. It's such a size friendly game, I think. You know, that unlike some other grappling arts, can be pretty tricky to practice. If there's a size discrepancy. Just going to the ground kind of neutralizes that a little bit, so it can keep things fun. And yeah, you have to be cautious of size differences. Like that's very important to keep in mind. You can't just like squish your kid.
Yeah,
Get out of side control. Come on. But yeah, I think it's a if we treat it as an activity where we're both learning and we're both trying to have some fun and get a workout in for 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes every day or every other day, I think it can be a very healthy thing to do.
oh, they are getting workout every day. I'm making sure of that.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah.
So he's asking, who's your favorite grappler?
My favorite
Say
grappler.
Anand.
What's that? Anand. What?
I said say Anand.
What? I said Anand. My favorite grappler, I think it's hard for me to pick favorites. I love watching my students compete. I love watching, you know, uh, my friends compete, and you know, there's nothing more exciting than a match where both people are going at it. They're not holding anything back, and they're just looking to attack. You know, I think it's disappointing when there's a big anticipated match coming up and you see both people kind of play it safe, or one person on the attack and the other person kind of hold back and neutralize positions. That's always disappointing. So yeah, so I mean, for me, what's fun and enjoyable is to see those matches where both people are just getting after it, you know, and that's not easy to do, right? That's not easy to do because, you know, there's at a certain level, you know, a couple mistakes and you're down, you know, you're losing.
Yeah.
What's great to see is like the people that go after it, that really get after it. You know, you see them, even if they're down, they'll sometimes come back from being down. I think sometimes the rules of jiu-jitsu don't promote action. They promote stalling, or they allow that passivity to take place longer than it should. And so matches can kind of get stalled out and kind of boring, unfortunately. And so maybe there's some room or wiggle room for rules to be modified. But, you know, I mean, I like watching all forms of grappling, you know, wrestling, judo. You know, I kind of dabble in watching some other kind of folk style wrestling. So like Mongolian wrestling, Russian wrestling. Japan has sumo wrestling. So those are kind of fun for me to watch.
Really? So I took you to Indian wrestling akhada just for nothing, right?
Just for nothing. Yeah. So no, Indian. Yeah, and like the akhada wrestling. I mean, there's fun things to be gained from watching. You know, watching these different folk wrestling. You know.
Yeah.
I call it folk wrestling. But yeah, those are great. Those are great for me. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, that's like.
So it's not like my favorite. It's not like there's a favorite. I don't have a favorite fighter. I just my favorite kind of matches to watch are when both people are going at it, and those are super fun. You know, without the.
Okay. Coach, let's move on. We have another question with.
Yes.
Again, one of my students, Shubham, is asking,
Awesome.
Coach, yeah, so what should I do if someone is in my close guard and blocking my hips and stalling, keeping head down, connected to body? What do you recommend in that?
Yeah. So again, it's one of those. That's like one of those positions where they're kind of like neutralizing your movement, right? And they're not moving, right? So, you know, so maybe you don't move either. You know, the difficulty is if this is a sport situation where you're losing, right? They're on top, they're winning, maybe they're up by 2 points, 3 points, and they're just holding you in place, right? And you have to get things going. So you're stuck, right? And you have to move. That's not the best place to be in. My thing is, how can you get them to open up, right? So anytime you're dealing with someone who's like refusing to move, refusing to make action happen, they're refusing to progress in fighting, the question that should be tried to answer is, how can you get them to move? How can you get them to react to your movement, right? So if I don't do anything and I just do one thing and they move a little bit, but then they move right back, I've done one thing that forced a reaction, but maybe that reaction wasn't big enough or wasn't long enough that allowed me time to attack. So maybe I need to think, one, I'm going to do one thing, they react. I'm going to do something
Another
else,
thing.
they react. Yeah. A lot of playing the guard has to do with being able to move your hips. So if your hips are stuck, right, if your back is pinned to the ground and your hips are stuck, then your guard attacks are probably going to be limited. So find a way to move your hips. Find a way to unpin your back so that you can move your shoulders. If you're in the gi, controlling the hands, controlling the sleeves is always helpful. Maybe a collar grip is always helpful, but it sounds like they're down. So you're not really worried about, the posture, them posturing up and opening your guard. They're more kind of sticking in tight towards you. So if they're in close like this, maybe it's going around their body, right? How can you go around their body, and then from that they react and you have a follow-up action. So think of it as like, how can you get them to react, and based on that reaction, how can you attack? That might be a good kind of strategy anytime somebody's just flat out refusing to move, or stall, or whatever, however you want to describe that.
So finding the way to force a reaction out of them, right?
Yeah, I think that's basic, that's basic fundamental grappling, but it's basic, but at the same time it's very advanced, right? Reaction, and then the follow-up, right? Attack, counter attack, right?
Yeah.
So I think those are important things to keep in mind in your training, right? Especially in your rolling. I think a lot of us just fall into this training method where we're just like trying to attack. We're trying to use the technique that we know, but then we don't really think about how our actions are forcing certain reactions, and then how we can follow up to that. And the more we think about that and address that, the better we're going to be in practice and in competition.
I think that's the part of our progression. Like, I think it happens to everybody, coach. Happened to me for a long time also. I just started figuring those things out, because in the starting we just try to do one thing at a time, right? We are just trying to push the head, or just trying to hold the hand or something, but we are not thinking like, what will happen if he does this? What will happen if he does that, right? But then slowly we will start understanding, oh, if I'm doing this one, he is going to react like this, right? So I think that's, again, comes from only practice.
Practice, from studying, asking questions, and then, there's one thing to be said about knowing what you're supposed to do, and then there's another thing to be said about being able to do it in that window of opportunity, right? So, as you progress into more competitive jiu-jitsu, that window of opportunity starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So even if I know what I'm supposed to do, if I don't do it at the right time, it's not going to work, right? So you need to be ready to react to that. Your actions and your reactions have to be so trained. There's almost like a feel to it, that there's like this, you're not thinking and processing it. You've already done the thinking and processing, and now you're just doing mode, right?
Yeah, like with a
it's kind of
muscle memory acting.
Exactly that. Yep.
So coach, let's move on to the next one. So Abhishek is asking, who is your favorite grappler in guard passing?
Abhishek, my favorite guard passing. For me, my style, I like Bernardo Faria. I like Murillo Santana. That's just for my style of jiu-jitsu guard passing. I think those guys, they understand the like heavy pressure game. They know how to move their hips. They know how to use gravity and pressure against a guard player. Those are two.
Over-under is amazing.
What's that?
His over-under is amazing, coach. Bernardo Faria.
Yeah, and so is Murillo. Murillo Santana, you don't see him in highlight videos as much as you should probably, but he's got an incredible pressure game that's fun. And then it's always fun to watch like very dynamic, guard passers. Tanner Rice is one of my friends. I enjoy watching him. Who else? Who else is like a dynamic guard passer? I guess Leandro Lowe. He's known for like that floating, super dynamic guard passing style. It's always fun to watch. Who else? Yuri Samoas. He's got good pressure. Those are kind of guys that I like to watch. Gordon Ryan. He's been doing in the nogi. He's been doing some of these leg pummeling.
Yeah.
It's kind of a. I noticed him doing that in what's that Sakuraba show that they had in Japan? You know what I'm talking about? It's like a team jiu-jitsu tournament. I forgot what it's named. Forgot the name. Anyways, I saw him doing that. And it looked really, really cool. Just kind of pummeling. It's like a shin on shin, but from the top side. Who else? Mateus Diniz. He's from Marcelo Garcia's school.
Marcelo.
Yeah, and I guess the GOAT himself. Marcelo Garcia's got some crazy guard passing hips. Some of those guard passers, you see it and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to do it. I'm going to try and practice it. And then when you go to try it, you realize your hips don't move the same way that they do. And it's this like, I haven't done a lot of surfing, but the little surfing that I've done, it's like very similar to this kind of hip movement that's like surfing. And it's kind of neat. So I'm trying to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, coach. So this question comes from me. I had this doubt in my mind because I heard 2 or 3 podcasts recently from Marcelo, from Canuto, and from this.
Renato Canuto.
Yeah.
Yeah, another super exciting guard passer. I can't believe I left him out. Yeah.
Backflip.
Yeah.
And these Rautolo brothers from Atos.
Mm-hmm.
So they all said one thing, like when the guy was asking them that what is their favorite thing to do when they are not practicing jiu-jitsu or something. So they all said surfing. So what's the connection between surfing and jiu-jitsu? Like it's the stability kind of thing, like a balance and those, or like how?
I mean, I think there's kind of that lifestyle element of, surfing and jiu-jitsu. It's kind of an alternative sport in the sense that, it's something that you do. If you do jiu-jitsu, you surf, right? And I don't know. I've never been to Brazil or Rio, but I assume there's some good waves out there, and so people surf and they do jiu-jitsu. I also heard like in the Santa Cruz area, San Diego area, there's a bunch of surfers, like professional, semi-professional surfers that, and actually in Hawaii too, that in like on the days where they couldn't surf, they went and they started just doing jiu-jitsu. Because someone told them, like, if you do jiu-jitsu, it's going to make your surfing better, and then vice versa. As far as like how it started to become a thing, I don't know, but I think it's neat that there's definitely a connection with like how you move your hips. I remember when I was in college, wrestling in college, there was a joke, like it's all in your hips, right? And learning how to use your hips. So, really, and, you don't really hear of wrestlers in the United States, at least, going out and surfing, although it's kind of starting to become a thing. Back then it wasn't really a thing.
Do you who's your favorite MMA fighter?
MMA, I don't really watch a lot of MMA. So I couldn't say. I'm not a good, like, my favorite, like, this is my one and only guy. I'm gonna be honest. Man, I don't know. Everyone's so unique and different in their own way. You know, it's fun. Again, my favorite thing to watch is two guys going at it. What's actually, so I guess one guy that I like to follow right now, who's the guy from Cuba that was on the wrestling? He was like a world medalist, multiple world medalist, Olympian.
Henry Cejudo?
Not Cejudo. He's from Cuba. He's I think he's like light heavy.
Coach said, little help here, please.
I follow him on MMA or on Instagram.
So Abhishek Mashi
forget his
said,
name.
Yoel Romero.
Yoel Romero, thank you. Yeah. You know, I haven't watched too many of his fights, but I heard one of his interviews on I think it was the Joe Rogan podcast, and you know, it's pretty neat. He's one of the wrestlers that was on the national team and competing internationally when I was heavily immersed in wrestling in college. So we watched a lot of tape and a lot of video at that time, and that was one of the wrestlers that I watched a lot of because he was around my weight class. You know, so I've just kind of been watching him and his success. It's pretty interesting to see him. I think he's like in his 40s, I believe. I could be mistaken, maybe late 30s, but you know, he's continued to like maintain an elite level of, you know, physical conditioning, an elite level of technical, you know, conditioning. So it's been neat to see that. And, you know, MMA, much like Jiu-Jitsu, is a constantly evolving sport, you know, so you have to stay on top of it. You have to stay on top of your strengths, but you have to keep learning. So it's neat to see that. You know,
Okay,
I'm getting older.
Coach,
Yeah.
Coach, due to Instagram time restriction, the feed will drop automatically. So I will start it. And we are back
And we are back
in live. Everybody else is back too. So
have you had to be more? I've noticed, like, with teaching these live classes, the fitness classes, you know, I think in martial arts, or maybe just in jiu-jitsu, or maybe it's just my personality, but I kind of try to maintain this calm vibe. But I feel like with the online classes, I need to be, you know, okay, here we go. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
I cannot do that, Coach. I cannot do that.
It's time.
So, honestly, these two are going to hate me for this, but Coach said and Beastie, Tarun is way better than in this than me. They are more energetic. They can project their voice. I cannot do that.
Yeah,
I just,
it's a different skill and it's a different art, you know. I think
yeah,
you have
exactly,
to
exactly.
like
I know.
you can't teach in person. I think teaching in person is a little bit different than teaching, you know, a live online class. So yeah, something, you know, I was writing notes, you know, I when I first started teaching online, and you know, after week 2 or week 3, I said I need more energy. So like the top of every note says energy, and you know,
Does that help you? Really?
it's just a reminder, you know, it's a reminder if I'm like, because you almost, you know, it's an easy reminder, I think, if you're walking into your gym and you're like, okay, I need to bring my energy today. I need to, you know, make this class happen. But it's different when you're like in your home and you're just like setting up your camera and I'm like, okay, here we go. Here we go. You know, it's just, I don't know. This is different.
I think
It's
it's
different for me.
different for everybody. For me, it comes with joking with the students. Like
Yeah.
if I'm just doing normally, okay, sometimes I'm energetic, sometimes I'm not. But if I'm interacting with them, if I'm joking, continuously joking with them, the energy levels goes automatically high. So I don't have to think about that.
Yeah. So knowing yourself, like knowing your style and knowing how your style can be incorporated to this domain, you know, this like online live domain, I think that's really, really important. You can't just copy what other people do, right? And I mean that's true
Yeah,
with
true.
anything, any teaching. You know, you can't just copy someone's teaching, and it's never quite you, right? So being yourself, you know, figuring yourself out, figuring out your strengths and weaknesses, and how you can best bring those and share those with people can be super valuable.
Yeah, that's true, coach. Why we
Yeah,
have copy anyway? Like when we are doing it already, might as well we do it honestly also. And
yeah,
unless we
yeah,
will not try it, we will never come to know that okay, this way could be better or that way could be better, right?
yeah. No, that's a good point. So I think being okay with failure, I think people might lean on other people and or copy what they're doing because they feel self-conscious or they feel inadequate. You know, they feel like, oh, if other person's doing it and I copy it, like it's at least that person will acknowledge that it's correct or it's valued. Um, but you know, it's someone said the tricks that every individual knows is valuable. Yeah, yeah. Every little, you know, there's value in that, and like I think you have to realize that, you know, that's a valuable thing. I can bring value to this, you know, this domain with just me, being myself is adequate enough, you know. And I think maybe that's kind of like competing, you know, going out into a competition, you know. How I am right here right now today is enough to for me in this match, you know. And you can,
That's true.
you
That's
know,
true.
um and if it isn't, then it isn't, you know. But it's enough for me. I did everything that I could have in preparation, and that's where you have to kind of be honest with yourself. Did I do everything? Yes, I did. You know, no, I didn't. Okay, well, then I'm gonna hope that I win, not expect to win. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like being okay with your current situation and keep striving for more, I think it's the ideal mindset to improve. Like
Yeah,
we are guilty of being closed or being trying to being in safe space. I think I'm sure. So it doesn't bring any improvement. It just makes you feel safe, but at the same time makes you keeps you in the cage also, right?
good point. Yeah, yeah,
So it's okay to be fail. At least we are trying something, right?
yeah, yeah. So there's a couple like good little phrases that I kind of have in the back of my mind, one, it's like, it's okay not to be okay. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, that's true.
it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. And, it's okay to fail. As long as you keep trying, and those are two kind of catchphrases that I can always fall
Yeah,
back on personally, without, it gives me the courage. It gives me the courage to try something, and then it gives me the courage to keep trying something. So
that's true, coach. Actually, funny because uh, again, funny story about my past when I was doing this diving thing, and before that also, I draw like drown. I think 3 or 4 times in the water,
oh my gosh.
but I was okay. I knew that I want to do this thing, and I will keep trying.
Say
Hey,
hi. Here. You wanna put it in? No? Okay. Just wave. Say hi. They can't see you. You have to see yourself.
we cannot see you.
She's being shy.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a dress weekend. So every day she's been wearing dresses. Today it's a
So,
lemon dress.
Anna, can you please show us how can you choke your father?
They're asking how you do chokes. How do you do chokes? Oh, she says she forgot.
Ah, okay. So
You forgot.
sad.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long time since I've been doing
Oh yeah,
chokes.
we don't do chokes at home. Huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why. That's why you forgot. Yeah.
Nobody's allowed to do chokes.
We're not allowed to do chokes. Yeah. Yep.
Only at
Not
Jiujitsu.
only at jiu-jitsu practice and jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Yes.
Yes. I guess I taught her good. She's been listening.
Yeah, good. That's good. Indian
Yeah.
kids for sure is not going to listen that. They will try. As soon as they will get chance, they will try for sure.
No, I mean I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard of a story where you know I don't think either family member had done jujitsu or trained jujitsu, but they were like at a family event and a kid was like holding on to his uncle, or like I don't know who it was, but cousin or something maybe, and they kept holding, and like the person died.
Really?
From
Oh
the
shit.
choke, yeah, because neither one of them knew the danger of, I think they were like copying professional wrestling or something, right? Or maybe it was
Mhm.
MMA, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess shit
But
happens.
yeah, you don't want that to happen, so we try and discourage kids to do chokes, at least outside of, only place to do chokes, is practice and at tournaments. That's our kind of catchphrase. But
Cool. Okay, coach. So that brings me to the
Sometimes I
next
think
question.
it's
So,
Daddy.
oh, she is still here.
hey,
So
what's up?
ask her.
Sometimes I
Can
think
she say,
that if you're with the coach and
Can you speak it loud so we can hear you?
coach?
if
Coach,
you're with
turn
the
your camera a little
coach
bit. Turn your
and
camera a little bit, coach.
you're at home, maybe
Yeah.
because like a coach is there because you're there doing a choke on a coach, like
Yeah.
a coach is there with you. If it's like somebody who doesn't know jujitsu, that's probably not a good idea.
It could be dangerous.
Wow.
But mostly if you're at home with a coach, you can.
Yeah. If you have a coach there or a referee, it's pretty safe. Because they'll keep you safe, right?
Mhm.
Thanks for sharing.
Coach, ask her to say namaste to everyone. This
Anna,
will be
can you
cool.
say namaste to everybody? Everybody
Anna,
in
say
India?
namaste.
You can put your hands together like this.
No, I don't want to.
Oh, you don't want to. Okay. There we go.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, it's okay. Okay, coach. So I was going to ask, like, since we talked about wrestling, at what age did you started with the wrestling?
I didn't start. I kind of dabbled in it before, like we had a PE class in my elementary school, like fifth and sixth grade. So we did maybe 4 weeks or something 5 weeks maybe. But 8th grade, so what's that? Maybe like 13, maybe 12 or 13. 12 or 13 was my when I first started wrestling, and then can you say that again? I lost your connection a little bit.
I'm saying they again started trolling me in the comments, all of them.
Oh yeah, something about Eastern Europe.
Yeah, they're just jealous. They never never been in there, so they are just jealous.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You know what's cool? What I love about every time I visit you guys, like we've had an opportunity to visit twice, and it's been so cool how much everybody loves each other, how close you guys are. I mean, you know, and you know, you really treat each other just like family. You know, even more than family. It's cool. It's super cool to see that.
Yeah, Coach. We are trying to hold on to that. Like again, Jiu-Jitsu. That's the main reason, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and it's neat. You know, I think it's neat with Jiu-Jitsu because you get people from like so many different domains that kind of come together, and it's like, what do we have in common? You know, we have Jiu-Jitsu in common. You know,
Yeah.
this guy does this person does that, and then the common thing that we have is Jiu-Jitsu. I think it's neat to be in a room where that is like the bond. You know.
And it's really cool, you know, because it connects people at like root level. It's people start forgetting those kind of boundaries which they learn from childhood, like caste things and religion things, and everything just goes away. What remains there is you are trying to kill each other, sweating with each other, and then after joking with each other. So those bonds and those emotions, they are true. Like there is no hiding in that.
Yeah.
Right, Coach?
Yeah. So there's a good, you know, it's mutual development, right, through collaboration. You know, there's a phrase in judo, or I guess Kano Jigoro, who's the founder of judo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Started with jiu-jitsu, kind of made judo. But a phrase that he coined was jita kyoe. I don't know if he coined it or if it was just a phrase that was around or popular at the time. Jita kyoe, which is Japanese. And so ji is self, ta is other, kyoe, you mutually nurture. You know, so jiu-jitsu is a sport that nurtures yourself and others, you know, at the same time. And I think that's exactly, you know, judo, jiu-jitsu, you know, you need to train, you need your partner, right? And it can be taken in multiple levels, right? But like to train, you need your partner. But in order to, but your partner gets better when you train, right? So you're developing each other, and you know, there's no like nothing can get in the way of that, right? No politics or religion or caste, right? Nothing can or should get in the way of that, right? If you're gonna train, you're gonna make yourself better. You're gonna make the other person better. And you're nurturing. You have to nurture that spirit. So I think it's also important to keep that in mind, right? It could be very easy to like train very selfishly, you know. So some people will train just so that they get better. I don't know if you know if you're from, you know, and I think maybe people who are newer don't understand that, right? They don't understand, like, oh, they think I just have to go in and fight because that's how we train. Like, I'm training to fight, so I'm gonna come in and fight. But as you start to, and so that can be really kind of difficult in the beginning to understand or to actually execute. But what you start to realize is, oh, like I don't have to fight. I can change my levels. You know, if I'm bigger than this person, I'm gonna try and use less strength to develop my technique. You know, if this person is a child, you know, I'm not gonna just crush them. I'm gonna let them move, and when they move, I learn because it forces me to move. And so I think it's also a mindset too, right? It's not just something that just happens. You know, do both people get better? Yeah, but it's also a very conscious state of mind that you have to be trying to work towards, not just something that just automatically happens because you're on the mat together.
That's true, coach. Also,
Yeah.
the thing you are talking about, that mindset, that comes way after, I think. In the starting, people's just coming with the, again, different kind of mindset. Somebody is coming to learn how to fight. Somebody is coming, like maybe UFC or WWE or whatever. And most of them, the first phase is the hardest because I've seen, I'm sure you have seen, and Coach Sid and all the experience guys have seen, most of them left in starting month, like in starting month, because maybe they cannot deal with their ego getting hurt repeatedly. Maybe they cannot cope up with things like this is going to be hard or something. But once those who stays maybe more than a month or two, then they will start to figure things out, like okay, this is the thing, that's how we should do, and that's perfectly okay to feel like uh, drained or like beat up or hard times, right? Because it will start getting better, but in the starting it's same for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, but I also think it's important as a coach to help, um, so to help that new person, right? To guide and ease their transition, so that they don't have, so that they're, you know, if someone's gonna quit, someone's gonna quit, right? But if I can get them to train for, you know, 6 months instead of 6 weeks, right? And they learned
Mhm.
more in that 6 months. You know, they didn't become a world champion or a black belt or whatever, but they learned more. They learned more about health and friendship and thinking about the other person, self-defense, technique. Then I feel like that was better. You know, I could have. Um, so I'm thinking like short term, they're not gonna go there. I don't push people. I don't want people to really push themselves too hard in the beginning because you know, I'm kind of hold them back. I feel like people come in and they want to prove, you know, that they can train hard and they're in shape and they're ready to go hard. But you know, the way I see it is, uh, I think it's better for them to take it slow in the beginning, to take breaks. You know, if you're out of shape, take a break. You know, if you've taken some time off, take a break. Um, one, because that can lead to injuries, and then two, um, yeah, I don't want people being discouraged. I think it's already hard and discouraging enough in the beginning. So,
That's true, coach.
you
That's
know,
true.
so
That's I think that's
yeah.
the part what we need to improve, like how we are going to handle the beginners in the starting. Like same thing we talked yesterday with the coach Silver Fox Carol. Beast
Uh-huh.
asked the same question. So I think that's the thing we need to improve.
Yeah, I mean it's tricky because, you know, you want people to get moving and get doing stuff, but um so it's like how do you know, jujitsu is if jujitsu was an essay, you know, you're writing an essay or you're writing a book, you know, you're not going to have the person start by writing a book, right? First, you're going to teach, and they don't know, if they don't even know the alphabet.
Exactly.
Right?
True.
So, you know, so that's kind of the way I look at it, is like, okay, this person needs to learn the alphabet first. Then they need to learn how to spell the words. Then they need to learn how to write a sentence. And then they need to learn how to read, you know, they need to learn how to read these sentences, right?
True.
And that's a long process, you know. Okay, now we can write a paragraph. We can write 3 or 4 sentences. Awesome. You know. And so, but if I told them on day 1 and I just gave them, you know,
Pen and paper and write an essay.
a pen, a paper, and I said, please write what you like, but they've never even learned the alphabet, they're gonna fail every time, you know. So and that's what I think, that's the way I see it, right? So, you know, if they were gonna quit, they're gonna quit, and my goal is, if I can get them to do it for 6 months, you know, maybe they learn how to read in 6 months. With that skill, they're gonna be able to do more, right?
True.
You know, so teaching them the kind of the building blocks of jiu-jitsu, of eating healthy, of the, I guess, the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, right? Which is like a healthy mind, healthy body, you know. So yeah, those are things that I try to like emphasize with the beginners, you know. And everybody, but again, we kind of talked about this with the use of technology and how we teach, but
Yeah.
but that, you know, everybody has their own style, right? Some people aren't going to agree with that, and I can't. That's fine.
Okay.
That's what other people want to do. So, you know, and that's, you know.
So, Coach, let's take one last question.
Sure.
So, Coach Sid is asking, is there anything you do between fights in the tournament? Mental and physical fatigue is really challenging, and something sometimes if things are not going in your way, something like if you lose in semi-final and you have to fight for the bronze.
Okay, so let's see. Going into the tournament, right? That day, I don't want any distractions. I don't want to have to make any decisions, or I want to make as little decisions as possible. So everything is kind of I already know what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to wake up, I'm going to brush my teeth if there's some time. So I already know my schedule. I already know what time I'm going to leave. I want to have everything. I want to have everything set so that I'm not running or scrambling or making extra decisions. I want to make all my decisions in competition. So I go to the gym, I get to the competition arena. I know what are the important things. I know where the restroom is. I know where I'm going to hang out. I call that like base camp. And then I also know, you know, maybe where the water fountain is. I know where the entry is to go onto the mat. And those are the things that I know. And then I just kind of hang out. I know what time I'm going to start warming up. Right. And then I just have a routine. So I warm up, and then I let myself cool down a little bit to relax, check my weight, make sure I'm ready to go. And then I step on the mat. You know, I warm up a little bit. We step on the mat. I'm ready to go. In between the matches, I'm trying to stay calm. I don't, you know, it depends on what tournament you're at. Sometimes you have more time. Sometimes you don't have a lot of time. So it just kind of depends. You know, if I have more time, I'll eat a little bit. I'll drink a little more water. Otherwise, I'm just trying to get right back to my base camp, or kind of like the warm-up area where you're supposed to hang out. And I have my little like mini base camp there. And I just, you know, catch my breath, refocus my mind, I think about the next, the next match that's coming up, and just going over like what I'm going to be doing in my head. So I'm constantly thinking about like the technical side of the game and how I'm going to go out there and execute. Those are things that I try and prioritize, with the time or the lag that I have in between matches. Sometimes I'll have, sometimes your like forearms kind of give out, so I'll have a coach kind
Yeah,
of go
that's
about
that's
forearms.
the main problem. Always happening.
Yeah. So, and that's just normal, right? So I'll have maybe a coach work out some kind of tight muscles there. But staying calm. And really, like, if you didn't train right, you'll know, right? You won't recover in time to compete. And so that sucks. But at least right? Okay, I didn't train right for this tournament, so for the next one, I need to be better prepared. Maybe I need to do more conditioning. Maybe I need to do more longer rounds. Maybe I need to do more, grip training stuff.
Yeah.
Because my grips are completely done, So, I mean, there's things that I'll take from the tournament post. Let's say you do lose your match. I always tell myself, win the last match. Whatever, if I win the last match, I lose in the semis and I go and win. If I lose my first match and I don't have any more matches, I lost and I lost. But, the slogan kind of going into the tournament is win the last match, right? So you're either going to win the tournament or you're going to take third if there's a kind of a wrestle back.
Yeah, actually.
So that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, say it, please. Continue, coach.
Yeah, so that's kind of a slogan that I keep in my mind. It's easy to get discouraged, but the thing is, like, if you have energy to be mad and frustrated after your match, after losing your match, then kind of the question is like, well, why do you have so much energy after your match? You should have used that energy in your match, right?
True.
So that's something else. Before going into the match, I tell myself, man, this is going to be a fight. This is going to be you're going to get tired, right? How you react and how you work through being tired is who you are. So be ready for that. Be ready to get tired. Be ready to hit the wall and then keep going. Just like you do that in practice, You can only tell yourself to do that or to be prepared to do that if you've practiced that way and you've told yourself to do that in practice, right? Don't expect yourself to do anything in a competition that you haven't done, in practice or you haven't tested in practice.
Yeah, it's a really insightful, coach, because I'm myself, I'm guilty of that. It happened to me also that I was not fully prepared in the tournament, and then I was frustrated after a loss. But that way that you said win the last match, that happened to me quite a lot. Like, I think in 4 or 5 tournaments, some of them was in Europe, most of them, 1 or 2 was in India. So it was like that I lost the match for the finals, like for the gold or something, and then I won for the, like, or I lost in the semi-final, and I won the bronze, because one loss always pushed me hard, and then I went for the next match maybe more determined. And it goes in another way also, like we talked about the ADCC, what happened this time, right? So after winning the division, that focus went out, and then in the absolute, shit happens. So it goes the other way, I think.
Yeah, so I try not to think about, it's like sometimes I think we play mind games with ourselves and we allow ourselves to accept, I don't know. It's like I didn't think I was going to win this tournament. Maybe I didn't even think I could place. And then all of a sudden you're in the semis and you take third, but you're like, man, the semis match was so close. I could have maybe won that match. Why didn't I? You know, because maybe you're just thinking in your head, wow, I'm just so happy I even made it here. You know, and it's kind of, sometimes it's easy for us to kind of fall into that trap. So not accepting it, right? And it's a hard decision, yeah, right? It's a hard decision to say, no, I am not okay with losing this match. You know, I'm going to go out there and fight, and I'm going to go out there and win this match. You know, and it helps to be in shape. You know, it helps to be prepared, because that's a decision that you have to have made well in advance, right? To make that decision at the tournament. You know, so many of your decisions have to be made way more in advance. You know, to wake up and go for a run. My decision to go and find a person that will drill with me after we just did an hour of competition class. My decision to show up to class on time, right? To do the warm-ups and to do the drilling. Those are all small decisions that add up to how you perform in a tournament. You know, but then once you get to the tournament, right, that day, like, you know, to be honest, like you're trying not to make a lot of decisions, right? Everything's set. I know where I'm going to sit. I know where I'm going to hang out. I know where the restroom is, you know, and all the decisions are being subconsciously made in the match, right? And hopefully they're the right decisions that you prepared well.
That's good, because it's a big factor, and again, it happened to me a lot. So in the starting, when I joined and I started competing, I was in the, you can say, right mindset. Maybe it wasn't right, maybe who knows, it was like in the starting of the white belt, right? But I was way more focused that time. Then 7-8 tournaments in the Europe went good when I was there. Then this breakup happened, and all of a sudden I fall off the roller coaster. And then next 3, 4, 5 tournaments, I think, went shit. Like I was always reaching up to the final, but I always losing. And it took me 2 years to get back. And again, it's I think all about the mindset. You remember how much I talked, how much I asked you about these things, right? And I think you are right that mindsets need to be prepared way in advance, not in the tournament. We cannot just wake up and we go to the tournament and we say, let's see. That's
yeah. It's probably not going to go the way you want it to go.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I think so. What's difficult now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's difficult now is like we're kind of limited, you know, with we can't just go and train. The motivation's different, you know. You can't just show up to a gym and work out with your friends and know that you put in a good effort, honest effort. You know, you yourself are your own accountability partner, and you have to make sure that you're putting in the time right now. Sometimes it's easier to train the mind when the body's moving, you know. And so right now, for people who like don't want to move, it's like, I just don't want to I don't want to work out. It's like not even worth it. I'm not doing jiu-jitsu. Go on a walk, you know. Go on a walk and get the body moving. It's such a good thing for the mind. You know, because it tells your body's telling the mind, look, you can move, you can do stuff, you know. And I don't know if you guys are allowed to go outside, you know, but we can, right? So, I mean, just going outside and going on a walk can be a really healthy kind of a release, I guess. And it helps you kind of set things in your mind. At least for me, I feel like when I'm walking or when I'm moving, it helps me organize things, you know. You can wave to everybody.
So I think I held you long enough, so I don't want to hold you whole day. So coach, one last question.
Yeah.
So I'm making big announcement right now. So on Friday, I think around 9 p.m., Shanji Ribeiro will be with me.
What? God, that's so cool.
So ask your question. It can be something, anything. Just ask, and I will ask to him that you ask that question. It can be about
Oh my
this
gosh.
preparation and tournament.
You
It
have
can
no
be.
Shanji is like the Hanuman of Jiu-Jitsu, man. Dude.
So
Sorry. I
I'm
don't
trying my best, coach, for all
Dude,
of
that's
these
amazing. That's
rollers.
amazing. Oh my God. A question for Shanji? Jeez. I don't know. I'm so nervous.
This,
Gosh, how does he, I think he's like maybe 40, 41. I'm not sure what his age is.
I think,
What does he
for sure
do
over
in his,
40.
I think so. I'm not sure. I think next year I think he's 39. Next year he might be 40. I'm not sure his age. But so, I mean, that's a long career. That's a very successful career.
And he's still active.
Oh my God, yeah, incredibly active. So, what's his secret?
Cool.
What's his
I'll
secret
ask.
for being able to keep training, for staying, for evolving his game? So someone said he's 39. Yeah, he'll be 40 next year, I think.
Cool.
For staying, for staying healthy, for staying physically and mentally and technically fit. What's his routine? So not his secret, because the secret's in the acai secret. Yeah, Sid.
Coach,
So
he
not
knows
his
everything.
secret, but what's his routine? What's his routine? And yeah, I'm curious about that.
Cool, coach. I will ask
Cool.
your question to him. And some
Cool. Whoa,
few words
so
you want
cool,
to say?
man.
Yeah, coach. I'm just trying, because of this lockdown, just trying to help everyone, just keep them motivated and get through these challenging times. And
Yeah.
this people keeps trolling me. You can see, right?
That means they love you. That's all that it means. They
I
just
know
love
that.
you.
So,
Well,
any
yeah. Hey,
last words
yeah,
regarding Corona
guys,
and
I miss you guys, and keep moving, keep learning, keep having fun. Reach out to your friends and family, jiu-jitsu or not. Reach out to each other, and just yeah. I mean, stay healthy and happy. Don't if you feel like you're stuck, everyone else is stuck. So just reach out, and we're all in it together. We'll get stronger. Thanks, Yunan. Thanks for having, and thanks for doing this for everyone.
No, thank you, coach, for giving us your precious time, joining us, and sharing your jiu-jitsu journey, your thoughts with us. These are the things keep us motivated. Sometimes we don't need big help or big things from our coaches or our seniors or from any other. Just these small things goes a long way. So like you gave us so much valuable knowledge, so much of your wisdom, you shared your experience and time with us. We are really thankful for that, coach. And please join on Friday at 9 p.m.
Yeah, 9 p.m. your time,
Yeah,
or
yeah. I will
okay,
update
okay.
you tomorrow morning.
All
And
right, please.
cool. So
Awesome. Thank you.
take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hugs.
Namaste.
Namaste.